on this computer. By the way, I was
Mm-hmm.
trying to look for a different background.
Mm-hmm.
How's that one?
Ooh, that one's nice.
Too loud? Too kind of distracting? Too loud?
No, I like that.
You don't think
I like
so?
that. That's,
How about
no?
this one? Too dark?
Ooh. Well, I mean, it's impressive, and you got you got him right over your shoulder, looks like he's about to silence you forever, my friend.
Yeah, it does look like.
What did you say about Omni-Man?
Or what's his name? The Flash version that they have in this world. He should come save me right now. Right now. Yeah, the Red Rush should come save me right now. I like this one. All right. Doesn't look like.
Yeah, I like that one too. That's nice. Because it also shows the distance between father and son. And the different ways they see the world, which is one of the things that I think we get in this one with the way Cecil talks to Damien Dark in this.
I think this is where he sends him back, right? It's in this episode?
Yes, this is the one where he sends him back. Yep. You had to use predictive text and AI to recreate the... we figured it out, which also, for what it's worth, and I'll get to that when we get to that, but that shows you how pernicious humans are. I mean, humans are writing the story, obviously, so we always are, but it is that kind of thing where we this is a problem, let's solve it. Because, not for nothing, I do wonder if the ability to create superhumans at the level that, because I think in most of these other planets, it's like people have a certain power level and a certain power set, and that there is this diversity of superhumans on this world, is one of the reasons why I think Omni-Man wasn't quite sure what to do with it. But we'll get to that in a minute. Because we do see that the guy from the other world, the guy who's the tester for the Federation of Worlds, like everyone on his planet, Alan, just has all those same powers. They're good and they're great powers, don't get them wrong, but it's like, sometimes you need a tank and sometimes you need a Wolverine. Sometimes you need Thor, sometimes you need Wolverine, and then if you can get a mix of Thor and Wolverine, you get Ares. So that's from Dark Avengers, but that's cool. All right, whenever you're ready, my friend.
It's recording. We're good to go.
Recording has started? Okay, great. Avast me hearties, and welcome once again aboard Full Stream Ahead. I be Captain Charlie, the Professor Esser. And with me, as always, is me first mate and skinny rich friend.
It's Mozz.
Welcome, Mozz. So glad to have you here, as always, as we talk Invincible, Season 1, Episode 4, halfway through the first run. Gotta get all these done before Loki starts. It's 2 firsts for Mark, a first date and a first trip to another planet. At the same time, Nolan and Debbie revisit their own first vacation together. Robert Kirkland, Ryan Otley, and Ryan Ridley are getting these writer credits, of course. Our director is Jeff Allen. Robert Kirkman gets our created by, along with Ryan Otley. Ryan Otley gets the writer credit on this one. Screenplay for this episode is Ryan Ridley. And Corey Walker, of course, is another co-creator on Invincible. And this is neat because this is Let's Go to Mars.
Yeah.
Because they wanted Omni-Man to go, but I'm trying to remember, why does Omni-Man not go? I guess because he feels like his job is on Earth and he can't go to Mars right now.
Yeah.
And
he sort of has an inkling that Cecil is trying to get him out of the picture. And he has interests to protect here, narratives to uphold here that he needs to be present for. And he's aware of the subtext of the games that are being played. And so Cecil decides to up the ante. He says, oh, yeah, okay. You're not going to give me that? I'm going to get something out of this situation. Hey, how about we get Mark to go up there? let's see what he's all about. Let's see if not only can he be an asset that I can use, but can he be a bargaining chip and a fulcrum point for leverage against Omni-Man?
And we can also see what the kid can do.
Right.
Which is mostly not really plan far ahead and, let his phone run out of batteries and, pack a lunch, which is great.
Yeah, why he takes his phone up there is beyond me, first of all. Shows he's a teenager.
To take selfies.
Can't live without his phone.
Yeah, exactly. He needs to take selfies. He's on Mars. How many times are you gonna go to Mars and not take a selfie?
Although I do like to go there anytime. I mean,
yeah, I do like that. Before this, we do get the meeting with Amber, or the date with Amber, the official date, which Amber plans, where they go to, I guess, the Vietnamese market. And, she wants the fancy box, but it's like $800. Although it's interesting because you kind of get the idea that, because Mark then later gives her that box, and you get the feeling that he just flew there, grabbed a box, and probably paid like $20 for the box, because it's probably a relatively cheap, poorly made box, but you're paying for the shipping. And
yep. And the import tax and the tariffs.
Exactly, which is which is a nice parallel to what he gives her at the end of this episode, which is a rock. It's a rock, which is one of these things that is so funny because it's like, oh, it's a rock. It's like she's like, oh, I always wanted this. What do they call them? It's a rock.
but it's probably worth millions and millions of dollars.
Well, it would be, but he specifically tells her never take it to a geologist or anyone who knows anything about rocks. Because they're immediately go, this is a Martian rock, And yes, a Martian rock would be worth millions of dollars.
Yep,
because we don't get to go to Mars that often.
No,
although
we find out why. We find out why that's a terrible idea for humans to go to Mars.
Yeah, and it's actually an interesting question for me because we get to meet the other Martians. Because they make the point that Martian Man was an actual Martian. And they tell, Invincible about this. And well, where did you think Martian Man came from? He's a Martian.
Right, that wasn't a nickname like Invincible.
Right.
It was actually true.
He's a Martian man. Yeah, but it's interesting in the sense that apparently Mars is currently under siege from Staros, but that the Staros don't like the Martian DNA, if I'm to understand it.
No, well, they can shapeshift. Mm-hmm. So when these things attach to them, they want to get at their brain. But if they shapeshift and turn into a rock, there's no brain for them to overtake. So that's been their route at fighting the infestation of these brain-sucking leeches that want to have a hive mind. They just need one sentient mind to have a collective radio signal, so to speak, that can control all of them. They're just searching for that one sentient mind that they can grab a hold of and use it to control the entire biomass of their individual units.
Right. And of course, as a Viltrumite, they are immune to these creatures as well. So, where the Martians can hide from the Viltrumites simply, rip them off and throw them aside. Too much Viltrumite power. But, yeah. And I'm a little confused by this because does it seem like the astronauts just because they of course do this space thing, it takes 2 weeks. They had to get to Mars, and of course I do like the little exchange there with when Nolan doesn't want Mark to go. He's like, the fact that you don't know how far away Mars is why you really shouldn't be going on this trip.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you think it's like what? You guys let me go to the moon? It's like the moon is not Mars. You said you went to a corner store. You didn't go to the next state on your own.
Right.
But again, it is that idea that it's like, the scale that Mark is thinking is very Terran in its origin.
Yeah.
And Nolan has already been across the galaxy. So the levels and the differences have very distinct and powerful meanings to them, to him. And also like
they escape, but somebody gets infected on the way back, right? One of the astronauts.
Well, that's the idea. And actually, what I wonder is did one of them get infected at the start of it? Because again, that was the weird thing. Is like it seems like that all of the astronauts just sort of wandered away because we see that apparently, I don't know if he took a nap or what.
He was just wakes up on his phone thinking about Amber, and as he looks up, he's like, "Oh, I wasn't paying attention."
Where'd everybody go?
Yeah.
And then when they come back, because then the Martians are trying to stop them, and he has to fight all the Martians. But you get the idea that the Martians know one of them is infected. So I get the feeling that the one that was infected was the one that led them off on this little wild goose chase. Like, let's go off on this thing. Let's go find the Martians, shall we?
Although the intention of that one brain sucker that got on, their intention would have been to immediately leave the planet, not to go revisit the Martians where they can be stopped.
I mean, maybe, or maybe to gather, maybe to get more of his brethren to come along. I don't know. But whatever happens, obviously the Martians try to stop them, and Mark has to stop them because he's been entrusted to get the the astronauts home. Although at the same time, there is this interesting aspect of this, which I think is what we can call the gray area. Which is because that is the thing when we get to the big fight not big fight, but when Damien Dark and Cecil have their confrontation. Because, Damien, Cecil makes this point to Damien Dark. It's like, that's the problem with you demons. Everything is so black and white. I need things to stay gray for a while longer. That things aren't going to be black and white. Things have to be gray because there's a lot more going on here than even you realize.
But it seems like that was a bit of a performance.
How do you mean?
To throw, I don't think he really sent him into the thing. I think he put on this performance to make everybody think he sent Damien Darkblood back into hell so that he can continue to do his job secretly. He wants to throw Omni-Man off his scent. That's what I thought.
I mean, that's a possibility, or it's just that Damien Darkblood just got out again. He escaped once, he can escape again. It's like, it's sort of like, Damien, what are you doing back here? Aren't you supposed to be on Earth, paying for your sins or something? Didn't we already cut you a deal? Yeah, they did that dang exorcism thing to me. It's like, oh, well, good, okay, well, that's cool. Get back there, man. Go do your job.
Yeah.
You got your own thing to do. And maybe that is exactly what Cecil did. Maybe that is, that Cecil just understood that, this is only going to be. Is it Cecil or Cecil? Okay, Tristan is.
It's Cecil.
Tell me how this skin tastes, Tristan. Tristan's having himself a kiwi. And he wasn't sure if he's supposed to eat.
No, you don't eat the skin.
Okay, well, see, the person said some people eat the skin. She
really?
didn't,
It's so furry and weird. I usually just cut it in half, take a spoon, scoop it out like the thing, and then cut it into little slices and eat it like that.
Okay, yeah. Mozz says, you use a spoon to scoop it out. So
that's the easiest way to do it. Cut it in half and scoop out the half with a spoon.
Go ahead. So Tristan's eating his first kiwi.
That's all. They're so good. They're so good. It's one of my favorite fruits, and they're really, really good for you. They're a superfood. They have all sorts of essential.
Tristan says it's a bit sour.
Yeah.
That
just lets you know it's working.
That's how you know it's working. Too good, it wouldn't be medicine. That's. Anyway, so but I really like I like that I like the fact that we do get Debbie she is starting to question a lot of things,
Yeah.
She knows whatever's going on, it's not right. Like, there's stuff here that really needs to be addressed. And that, honestly, I think that really, Nolan has hidden from her, and she knows that. And she knows things aren't working the way that they should. She knows she's being lied to. But that goes again to the deeper aspect of this, which is that Cecil needs things to be gray. It's like, you want it to be black and white. And that's the thing. Like, from Cecil's perspective, the idea that finding out that Omni-Man is actually a super whatever he is, that whatever his motivation is, Cecil doesn't want to just say, well, he killed the Guardians, so that makes him evil. Cecil is like, well, why did he kill the Guardians? And more importantly, what does that mean for this country? What does that mean for us, for our people? Because, okay, you did it. I'm not happy about it. It's not like this was on my top 10 wish list for what happens this year, but it happened. How do I move forward onto the next part of the story? Because I still got to live here, and I need that gray. I need to operate.
And it's not like this was an unexpected outcome. Cecil is the kind of guy charged with protecting us. So no matter how benevolent he seems or how helpful he seems, he must operate from the perspective that he could be a threat, and he needs to be prepared to deal with that threat. So he's been preparing a dossier about how to handle Omni-Man and putting together intel on what he might be able to do since the very beginning. So now it's just like an eventuality that he thought would happen. He's like, okay, now we got to put plans into place to make sure it is that. And if it is, then we need to figure out how we're going to fight this thing.
And to be fair, if you think for a minute, he didn't have the same dossiers on the Immortal and Warrior Woman and Red Rush, especially Red Rush, let's face it. Cecil looks like he's been around since the Cold War, so.
I lost your audio. Am
I back?
Yep.
Okay, there's a mute button on the side, and but I don't ever use that aspect of it, and so I can accidentally mute myself when I'm not paying attention. But you can bet that Cecil had dossiers on Warrior Woman, on Martian Man, on the Red Rush, especially the Red Rush, like I said, because he is the Red Rush, and Cecil looks like he's been around long enough to know when that was a bad thing to be, that he was a commie, a no good, dirty commie, and he had to fight him. That was before commie was a different
name
word.
back then.
Well, he was probably like,
the Red, White, and Blue Rush.
Yes. Well, no, because he's Russian, so I always assume he was a Russian.
Oh.
I assume he used to be like, the premier Soviet super soldier.
Fair enough.
Although I didn't really like, Omni-Man's like, he was just fast. That's not one of your top 10 super. I was like, no, it's not. You're just saying that because he was the one guy that was who could actually beat you at stuff,
Yeah.
It's like, if you give that, if they find whatever Viltrumite kryptonite is, this guy is done. Although I guess we do see, well, by the end of it, we do see what Viltrumite kryptonite is, but it's not what you think, or it is actually exactly what you think, if you've been watching a lot of Amazon series lately. But in this moment, Cecil has to plan for these things, and he knows he has known that Omni-Man was both a asset and a threat the entire time. And now he just needs to figure out, what does he do with it? How do we prepare for this situation? How do we handle the idea that, the nightmare scenario where Omni-Man goes rogue?
Speaking of Cecil too, when they're on their little vacation, Nolan and Debbie, the giant dragon attacks, and she's like, "Aren't you gonna go do something?" He's like, "Oh, no. Let Cecil earn his money." You know, it's like, all right.
And to be fair, Cecil handles it. You know, they send it to the jet fighters. They blow that thing up. It's fine.
Yep.
You know, Cecil will call if he needs him. He knows how to reach Omni-Man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've got the new Guardians of the Globe. So it's like, you know, he can send Robot to handle that if he needs to. You know?
Yeah.
Is his name Black Samson, by the way? Is his name Black Samson?
I believe so, yes.
Man, that's, you know. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, you know, like Black Captain America, I guess.
I guess.
That's the thing.
You know.
Although, from his perspective, he's just taking pride in who he is. What's wrong with that?
That's fair enough. And he is, and, you know, I like Black Samson as a character. He's actually probably, of all the people we've met, he is probably my favorite because he is a guy who apparently at one point had superpowers.
Right.
Lost his superpowers, but then became a top-tier superhero again just by the power of his mind.
Yes.
That is impressive. That is impressive that Black Samson, you know, fought his way back up to be a Guardian of the Globe. Yeah. And kind of makes you feel bad that that for whatever reason he got, although maybe they didn't like kick him out of the Guardians of the Globe when he lost his powers, but that maybe he just says, no, I can't be a Guardian of the Globe without my powers. I would have to earn my place back, you know. Yeah. But then you got to feel like, oh, maybe they would have welcomed him back at that point, but thank goodness they didn't, because then he'd be dead too. You know?
Yeah. The other thing that was interesting in this episode was they never really touched on it again, but the very beginning of the episode, they summoned this creature that reminded me of every time Mumra awoke on Thundercats. Oh,
yes. And I love that it just ends accidentally. Yeah.
But like that's a bad guy they're leaving there to revisit later. And I thought we were going to get more of Mumra, but we didn't.
Well, you know, but what struck me about that is, and this is what I always say about superhuman situations and why I think Earth is a death planet. That's what I always say is I get the feeling, at least we Earthlings think of our planet as a death planet, because everything on this planet is trying to kill us constantly, and that we've survived. I'm sorry.
What if our planet is like the gladiatorial arena, right?
I mean,
and
knows?
Super beings and super villains get to come down here and test their mettle. They say, all right, send him to Earth. Let's see if he's worthy. And then, send him to Earth. Let's make them fight it out. And then we'll know who our champion is. And then whatever broader conflict is happening, that's how they recruit powerful beings to go fight in some magical war happening somewhere else.
I could absolutely see that being a possibility. But the fact of the matter is like, you know, the tenaciousness of humans, like we say, it's like when Damon Darkblade was like, it's impossible. I had that destroyed in the 8th century. It's like, yeah, I know. We found a few scraps and then we used, you know, predictive AI and we reconstructed it based on what, you know, it likely is based on everything else we have been able to compile on all mystical knowledge throughout the planet. And it's just like this moment where like, whoa, they have a database that can build that. It's like they are really, I mean, not for nothing, based on stuff we see later, I kind of think they kind of let the immortal get buried intentionally. Like they knew an outcome could happen, but they said, well, you know, I guess it's just one more chess piece off the board.
Right. Well, like, let's pull that card back. We'll play that card later when we need to.
We'll play it later if we need it. You know? No reason to just get everyone all wound up right now, but we know what that is and who that is, and so we're going to just let that sit where it is.
And it allows you to keep a measure of the element of surprise.
Mm-hmm. But that's the whole thing.
Same thing with Damien Darkblood. Remove him off the board, make it look like he's not a factor.
Exactly. We can bring him back later if we need to.
Yeah, at the end of the episode. We recreated
the exorcist spell. We can recreate the summoning spell. That one's probably much easier to do.
We already know that one.
Exactly. You know, and that's the thing. It's like, that is where, again, like I said, I get the feeling Earth is a death world. And that is why I think at the end of it, that when they came to Earth, and I think because this, and for what it's worth, again, look who's writing these stories, a bunch of Earthlings. You know, Earthlings write these stories. Earthlings are always like, we're Earth and we're the best.
Yeah.
You know, what are you going to do? Hey, as far as we know, we're the only ones writing these stories. So, you know, I'm sure if you went to Krypton, that's like, Kryptonians are the awesomest.
I feel like we should take a piece of our population, send them to Krypton so that there can be Kryptonians. And that's our job as human beings, because if there aren't any aliens, we need to go out and populate the rest of the universe so that we can have a variety of experience and a variety of things to talk about and hear about. The universe is waiting to express itself, and we need to go out there and help her do that. I
think that would be a lovely idea. That's what they're trying to do here. Get to Mars, make some real Martians.
I love it.
You know, and I'm looking forward to Mars. Not sure I want to sign an indentured servitude contract to get to Mars, but
no. I mean, we've got to start somewhere. You know, indentured servitude is, you know, I think at the ground floor of every big civilization.
Well, but it doesn't have to be. That's what we built robots for.
Hey, you're welcome to find a different way, but society as a whole has not been able to find one yet.
Well, there's an argument there, but we'll get to that in another podcast, I'm sure. That's the joy of communism.
Right.
Get to Mars just to say we got there.
Right.
To be fair, we don't know the Viltrumites even have money. They might be like, no, we're a perfect socialist utopia under the Viltrumite rule. You know?
Right. If you're that strong and you know, I'm assuming resources aren't that big of an issue for them. They're so strong.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the classic sci-fi dilemma. If you actually have a post-want world, what is the point of anything? And that's the thing. It's like, you know, you can, like, even though the Ferengi are absolute capitalists, I guarantee you could survive as a beggar on Ferenginar. Because food is cheap, and you know, shoes are, you can get cheap stuff to survive very easily, so you don't need a lot. You don't need to be good at creating things.
Maybe it's a property of sentience that you always seek out a struggle, and if things are too good, you need a struggle to occupy your mind, and if one isn't there, that's when super powerful beings start going over and taking over stuff, because they need a struggle. They need to be fighting something. They need to apply themselves to some effort and see progress. And if everything's good, there's nowhere to apply themselves to see progress of any sort. Hey, let's go make problems so we can solve them.
That sounds good to me, quite frankly. Because, hey, how many problems on the Earth are not created by the humans themselves, you know? I mean, really, every problem on the Earth is on some level created by humans, but also for the benefit of humans, you know?
Right. We're getting better at handling the unbelievable power that we have as creator beings.
Oh, yeah. And eventually we'll get there. You know, that's the thing. I don't think that we're, like I said, just because Earth is a death world, it doesn't mean that we're going to kill ourselves. Right. It just means
Perhaps
that, you know,
that's the only way to truly acquaint yourself with the nature of creation.
Well, exactly. You know, there's no life
by becoming so close to having it wiped out. That's the only time that you can truly get to know it. So it's similar to like in the way I describe fighting to people. You know, when that cage door closes and there's someone standing across the cage from you, aiming to hurt you with every bit of their ability. Like no label you've ever given yourself, no relationship you've ever had, nothing you've ever called yourself will be able to help you in that moment. No facade you've ever built will be able to assist you in that moment. The only thing that is going to carry you through that moment is just yourself. And in that moment, without all the burdens of everything like that, you are the closest to yourself that you will ever be, right? That's the most you will ever be. Every bit of your survival depends on just you, nothing else. So in that way, being that we might be a death planet, that's the only way to understand creation itself, by being so close to it being taken away from you.
Absolutely. Do you do MMA? Like amateur?
No.
Oh, you just
but I watch it and I write about it, I photograph it. So
No, I understand.
come
No,
inside.
it's a beautiful art form, and honestly,
I
the
used
martial
to
arts.
take jujitsu. I did a little bit of that back in the day.
Yeah. No, I never know with you because you have lived an adventurous life, and you are, as I said, I call you my skinny rich friend, and I don't make that up. You are fairly, you look like. Honestly, I would not want to be in a cage with you. I mean, I got the weight advantage, sure.
I doubt I'd be very
but unless
effective.
I sit on you, it's not gonna be. Although to be fair, going to ground, that is my game. It's like I am immovable. But anyway, but yeah, it is. But that's what it is, and this is a neat episode on every level that it goes through. But also goes into just the fact that Mark does not know what he's doing. And if there's a theme of this episode, it's Mark doesn't know what he's doing. He's very much out of his element, but he's trying to do his best and trying to be a hero.
Right.
And I do think that's the real thing. And I think it goes back a few episodes back when he first gets his powers and he lets the bully beat him up. Now, in a lot of these stories, even in Spider-Man, he enjoys beating up the bully. Even in freaking Superman, even Christopher Reeve's Superman, when he gets his powers back in Superman 2, enjoys beating up the bully again. And the idea that he's like, no, there's no point in beating up the bully. What is the point in fighting someone weaker than you? I just need to make him understand I will always be here and you will not defeat me.
Yeah.
And in that there is this nobility, and I think that is maybe even part of that Viltrumite code. Which is why I think when we actually get to the Viltrumites, I think everyone's afraid of the Viltrumites because they will crush you. But like if someone just says, "Welcome Viltrumites," what happens? And I know I'm spoiling the whole series right now, but we're halfway through it, and it is a reality to this is that I've always loved there's a little short story by I think it's by Ray Bradbury about the Martian invasion and humans basically saying welcome Martian conquerors. But by the end of it, the Martians are like, oh my gosh, we've been completely assimilated by the humans because now we're just sitting here eating hot dogs and drinking beer.
Right. Come sit down, have a good time, have a beer.
Have some root beer, as the Ferengi say, You drink that root beer, gets in your brain. And to be fair, Omni-Man,
have you ever tried a Coca-Cola?
You might like it.
Come on, come to the dark side. Become a sugar addict like the rest of us and see the joys of Earth.
Exactly. It's a death planet. And that's the moral of this episode. If we titled our episode, this episode would be titled, Welcome to Earth. It's a death planet. All right. Mozz, anything else you want to talk about this episode?
One final thing. There's that one final scene on Mars where there is the person that collects the intention of all those brain suckers, and we see like a wave of them coming to attack the Martians, right? So like, are the Martians wiped out now? They leave that thread completely undone. We don't know what happens there.
Well,
but,
I mean, that's,
did we leave an astronaut there, or is that the astronaut that got on the ship with them at the end and left?
That's the astronaut who got on the ship, assuming that there wasn't more than one astronaut. Like you said, they're looking for, once they get one sentient, then the whole hive mind can coordinate. So the ones still on Mars can probably coordinate as this one goes off. Although presumably if the Martians are able to avoid them long enough, maybe there will be Martians left after this particular genocide. And then they're going to come to Earth to seek out their revenge against...
now they're a much more difficult foe to fight because they're not individual things just looking out for something to latch onto. They're coordinated
now they can be coordinated.
Find entryways into that. They won't have very many safe spaces where they can conduct their business in their personal form.
Because and again, when we see them at the start, they're like just sticking to the walls and like, what are they doing there? They're just, they don't know where to go. But once they have a sentient to guide them, then they can hive mind into that. So,
yeah.
But then again, that their sentient has left the planet, that could mean that they're going to get a little less. Which is why I think that
the signal will be a little bit weaker.
The Martians.
Yeah, they might survive
exactly,
that.
and yeah, I think that's going to be sort of the thing that happens next, unless one of them eventually does get control of a Martian, which was one of those things I wasn't quite sure about with the Martian man, whether or not he had one, and that's why he was exiled, because we saw that there was like a brain thing in him.
Really?
Because that's what, when Omni-Man like defeats him, he pulls his brain out. So,
ooh,
I wonder if there might be more to that story there as well. But we'll see that next. I mean, we'll see that in future episodes, and that's maybe for next season, because this is getting more than one season. Although, man, it's like right now, Amazon, like I've said, they've got The Boys, they've got Invincible, and they have The Tick. And I really wish they ended The Tick. But man, I think that bringing The Tick, this is the perfect time to bring back The Tick in this triumvirate of real superhero worlds.
I think that's the trend nowadays is blending multiverses. So I think that is somewhere we'll eventually head. I would love to see Homelander and Omni-Man either team up or fight. Either way.
Well, and that's where I think the Tick becomes an interesting character in that, because his powers are such that I don't think either one of them could ever really hurt the Tick, because that's his whole thing. Is like, all the laser eyes and their super strength. It's just gonna like, hey, chum, that's annoying. But at the same time, he's a human, so he's probably going to be associated with Homelander. Feel like home, but he's also more of a traditional superhero. So his being pulled between Homelander and Omni-Man is going to be interesting, and I can absolutely see Arthur being the voice of reason for him and guiding him. And so I would love to see the Homelander Omni-Man Tick team up.
Yeah, and I think that would be an interesting
segue to Tick is the immovable object that neither one of them can handle.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, there's so many good stories out there. And eventually we're going to get the Loki stories coming. It'll be beautiful. Indeed. It'll be glorious, Mozz. All right, Mozz. I have enjoyed talking to you. I always enjoy talking to you. I really enjoy listening to you, because you have some of the best insights of any person I speak with, which is why I love hanging out with you.
Same with you. It's always like, now I get to like really figure things out when you're talking to somebody that can, give you things to think about. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a really interesting point. And then you could work out your own views on things. So always great time.
It's great. But, a lot of people, they miss what we talk about because they don't have good headphones. They get the 99-cent store headphones, dollar store if they're feeling fancy. Maybe they go to Five Below, spend $5 whole on a headphone. And, but those things, they break down. The wires crack, the batteries run out, they lose all of the things that they want to have to listen to what they're listening to. These folks, they should use the coupon code Southgate. Go to tweakedaudio.com. Use that coupon code, get a deep discount on the headphones they so sorely need, and listen to this show in crystal clear audio. Likewise, they can use that same coupon code Southgate. Go over to huntakiller.com, and we already know they like podcasts because they're listening to us, and they probably like real crime podcasts, or at least serial killer podcasts, and that is what Hunt a Killer is. It is a serial killer delivered to you. You get a bunch of clues that you have to piece together, and you can be the star of your own podcast with it. And that is helping Michelle Gray solve that cold case using the coupon code Southgate upon checkout. After you do all that, why don't you go down to our links in the description, click on the Amazon link, go to Amazon.com, buy anything you want. I really don't care, because you've gone to Amazon through our link. Now they know that you were listening to us. They know that we're all friends here. They're going to help us out. Doesn't cost you anything. And while you're there, check out Pod Life, the book written by the Southgate Media Group community. You can listen to you can read about why we podcast and what it means to us. And if you like podcasts, it might be an interesting read. And you can do that. You can get it both in paperback or in a digital download. If you like to have either option, you can do both. And that is all of our pitches. So, Mozz, if anyone does any of this, they like this, they want to talk to you about MMA, they want to challenge me to a fight to see if I will sit on them, you're my manager. How can they reach you?
They can send a bout agreement to mozzmanzoor@gmail.com or find me on Facebook under Mozz Manzoor. That's MOZZMANZOOR.
Yes, and that is my one power move. I can sit on you. It's my only one, but it's a good one. And of course, you can always write to me in that old-fashioned email way that our mothers and fathers once did. That's superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. Of course, follow me on the Twitter as I live tweet things on TV like Legends of Tomorrow @Charlie Esser. That's CHARLIESSER. Look for the 2 E's in the middle.
Quality. Ding.
Thank you, Mozz. All right. All right, you scurvy dogs. It's been a long and torturous ride through this sailing sea of Sargassus that is Invincible. We'll see you again next week as we once again sail full stream ahead. Arr.
Right on.
All right, Mozzie. Thank you so much, and I will